Hey there, nieces, nephews, everything in between and or otherwise. Uncle the Lloyd here with a new series. My favorite show of all time is Adventure Time, and I really love it. So after being inspired by Kuro the Artist's Ben 10 Breakdown series, as well as the entire channel of Overanalyzing Avatar, both of which I implore you to check out, I've decided to start this series, which I will be calling Analysis Time. Yeah, I couldn't think of a more creative name. Sorry. My plan with this series is to go through every episode of Adventure Time and 20% react to it and 80% overanalyze every aspect of it. I'm talking animation, voice acting, casting choices, themes, references, callbacks, dream interpretations, and of course the occasional hot take, along with anything else I'm going to think of on the spot. After going through Adventure Time, however long that's going to take, I'll go through Fiona and Cake and then whatever else they likely have put out by that point. Now for the most part, I'm going to be doing one episode per video, but occasionally we'll hit a chunk of episodes that aren't anything special. And for those, I'll be doing all of them in one video. And with Adventure Time being a long-running show that has explored many different themes, some episodes are going to rank higher for other people. And I ask that if you guys have a favorite episode, let me know in the comments and I'll shout you out in that episode's video. And if you want, you can also leave the reason that episode is your favorite and I'll read that out too. And I gotta ask, for those of you who want to be here for the journey, to subscribe, so that way you don't miss any of the videos. But fret not, if you do miss an episode, I'll be putting them all into a playlist that you can watch at any time. Now, let's talk about the episode. Our pilot episode introduces us to 3 of our main characters and many of the secondary characters when Princess Bubblegum accidentally raises the dead, forcing the citizens of the Candy Kingdom to hide in the Candy Palace. And at the same time, Finn has to keep a royal promise not to tell anyone about the zombies. Hijinks ensue. Also, one super last thing, throughout the video I accidentally refer to Tom Kenny, the voice actor, as Jeff Kenny, the author of the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series. My bad. But if you want, you can leave a comment about it to boost engagement and make other people watch the video. But enough of that, let's do this. Alright, nieces, nephews, everything in between and or otherwise, I hope that intro was pretty good. Let's start the video. Now, since it's the very first video and I haven't done anything yet, I'm gonna let the intro play through in its entirety, but I'll probably talk over a little bit for copyright. And then I'm gonna go back, break it down frame by frame, point out anything you might have noticed or anything that comes back later or anything interesting. So, let's do that. Boom. Zoom in, Ice Kingdom, Candy Kingdom, Lady and Rainy Kingdom, Ninja Time. Come on, grab your friends, we'll go to very typing. We'll never anticipate our boom, grab my pen off the board. Now let's break this bitch down. Now we're gonna go frame by frame for a lot of this. So let's start it off right at the start. Immediately we see, let me come in a little more, hints of something happened. Something big bad happened. We got bomb, skull, rats. Later we're gonna see a severed arm pop out of there. Cassette tapes, arrows, headphones, axes, sword, knife, another axe. So a lot of it is pointing to something bad happened, some kind of apocalyptic event. But there's also things that make it seem like you might be in medieval times. But that is immediately proven wrong with the things like the bombs, the headphones, cassettes, and all that. So you're really thrown off by this. It's really weird. You can kind of deduce that something went down, and it's kind of thrown them back into this medieval, monarchical kind of society thing. But they never really tell you anything about that. It's all just very small seeds. So let's point out some of these specific things. So yes, the bombs, very big bombs deep in the ground, broken TV, and a cassette tape. Now, I did a test run of this where I went through the intro and I broke it down. And while I was doing that, I thought that this TV and this cassette tape might be a obviously not a reference. It probably wasn't even thought of yet. But this might be some of the seeds planted for Simon and Marcy, an episode that comes way later, that takes us way back to the very start of the Mushroom War, or right in the aftermath of it. And in that episode, we see Marceline and Simon. They find a big broken TV, and they find a cassette tape, and they play around with the TV. Now, I'm not saying they threw this in here as foreshadowing for that episode that's going to come way later. I'm just saying that it's either a funny coincidence, or when they were looking to make that episode, they might have went back and rewatched old episodes for it to see where things could be placed, and this TV and this cassette tape might have inspired that scene. That's what I'm saying. But there's not a whole lot of anything else on here. Big weird skull showing that there's some kind of either monsters or something happened that started mutating things. I don't know. Something that stands out to me is this crystal thing way up here. Now, I have my own theory about Lady Rainicorn's dimension, the crystal dimension, and the technology that they use. We see a little bit of that throughout the series, but I just want to point out that this may be part of that. My mind immediately jumps to her parents, where Jake meets Lady's parents for the first time. And at the beginning of the episode, the lighting is really nice, first of all. But also Jake sends a like prism message with, it doesn't look like this, but it is a pink kind of crystal. But we see later that there are other kind of hologram crystals. So I just want to point that out since we're here. Now I want you guys to keep your eye on this stump right here. Also, these trees look like faces. And this tree has a bunch of holes in it. And its roots are going into holes. It's weird. And it looks like they have a car got buried here from like a whole lot of time passing. But yeah, keep your eyes on this stump right here. Oh, somebody's in that stump. So for the longest time, I thought this was just a severed arm. But if we go back, we can see the arm comes out on its own from way in it. It doesn't just pop in. It's not like an animation error. It grows out, and then it moves around a little bit. So yeah, for the longest time, I thought this was just a severed arm sticking out of this tree. But no, somebody's definitely in there, and they're like waving for help, and we watch them every episode, never do anything about it. But we start moving into the Ice Kingdom here, and we have a bunch of Gunters, and look at that. These two Gunters give a little kiss, and this little creep is watching, and then this snow golem is watching from the Cuck cliff. Then we move past. Whoa, go back. Look at that. This Gunter's mouth is transparent when it should not be, but I think they fix it really fast. Keep an eye on that beak. Yeah, they fix it in the next frame. But yeah, we swoop past these Gunters, and then we fly into the Ice Kingdom proper, and we meet the king himself, Ice King, who is making a really weird expression. I've always noticed that. The reasoning may just be to show off that he's like crazy, but I don't know. Fly past IK, and then we swoop in down here. So we see the Candy Kingdom, but we won't talk about that just yet. We see this like peanut brittle road that leads up to it, to the Candy Kingdom, and around it we see this cotton candy forest. Pretty cool. The reason I want to point this out though is because later we'll see that this is not how the Candy Kingdom is set up. One of the first shots is like right here, and they swoop down right here, and and the way the episode presents it, it would seem that there's a graveyard right here. But it could very well be in the back, and so the way we see it is from back there, and then over here it would be here. But later on it seems like, I'm trying to point with my hand, later on it seems like they don't have this opening, but looking at it here, this is pretty narrow, and this could be blocking it, so we'll see when we get to it. But we swoop in to the Candy Kingdom, and we see some candy people. So off the bat we have Mr. Cupcake, this guy who looks like Grimace, some ice cream guy, Starchy, Gumdrop Girls, and this Sugar Cube guy. And right here it looks like this was an early design for Root Beer guy. He's super round here, which is not how they keep him, and I assume that's because they didn't expect him to have any kind of importance like he does end up having, so they just gave him a random Candy Kingdom background design, and he doesn't have any importance. And then we can also see Tree Trunks here, this donut guy, this, what's it called, Candy Cane dude, Choco Berry in the back there, and then Lollipop Girl, who looks pretty human considering all these other designs, and then this Candy Corn person. It's got 3 different faces, but we get a better look at them when we zoom in. There's Tree Trunk with sort of weird teeth, and then you can get a better look at Choco Berry there, and this creepy Grimace dude. Has pretty unique eyes, actually. Most characters only have these like dot eyes, but sometimes they do full eyes, but they never have this kind of pupil. It's usually just a regular pupil. And then we got a little cherry on top, with top of these like on top of these like cupcake looking designs. And then we come up, and we have this angry looking candy dude who reminds me of Chet, but I know it's not Chet. And here's something I noticed while I was doing that test breakdown. So you see these cupcake terraces, they have these entrances so you can come in and stand there. But for one, yeah, look at that. For one frame, they don't have it. For one, it goes back like 2 frames. It's weird. For one frame, so you got it, don't got it, and then you got it again. They don't have it for one frame. It's weird. But later on, I'm pretty sure that we see people on here. Not really relevant. And then we come up through the tree. Now, we later learn that right now, the Lich is being kept right about up here somewhere. But that doesn't come until later. Whoa, I just skipped ahead really far. Oh, also, let me go back. I forgot to mention this. This candy cane guy and the lollipop girl and a few other characters, they come back. Their most notable appearance for me is when they're on the mystery train for Finn's birthday, which is, comes up later. But yeah, let's keep going. And we slide up. And then we get our first look at Princess Bubblegum and Lady Rainicorn. Oh, Lady loses her mouth between frames right here. Look at that. And boom, gone. And then PB, there she is. And then Lady, they're riding together. I like when we see PB and Lady together because we learn that they're friends. But they only really get that one episode together way later. And that's honestly one of the most, I don't want to say disturbing episodes, but it freaks me out a lot. And it used to a lot when I was a kid. But Lady looks kind of weird right there. I think Lady looks kind of weird right here. I think her horn is way too big. I think it's usually much smaller than this. And we'll see it later so we can compare. Also, her mouth, like her muzzle, I guess you would call it, it looks kind of like how it did in that Dream episode. It looks kind of strange. We move past them, and then here we get another hint of like this post-apocalyptic kind of vibe with this run-down bridge road thing. But then we zoom in on Marceline, the vampire queen, and off the bat we get the bats behind her. She's in the dark, so you're kind of already getting like a vampire vibe. And then if we go in a few more frames, look at that, we see her bite marks. But if we do come back a little bit, you can see that this this like, I don't know, cave opening, it looks like a face with the fangs, another allusion to her vampirism. Also, if we look at Marceline right here, we can see that she's got these very faint red rings around her eyes, which come back every so often. Also, her teeth are not sharp here. They get sharp immediately after though. But yeah, they're not sharp for a while. That's funny. And then she does her scary face, and she still has those the little red around her eyes, even though they get the bigger black circles around them after. Yeah, she's freaking weird, dude. And we slide past her, and then we see the Ice Kingdom again. This is probably Ice King's castle right here. But then we get our first look at the treehouse. One of the best like home bases in cartoon history, in my opinion. I love it to death. And we get our first look at the two-headed goose, which comes back pretty often in the background. And before I talk about the details of the treehouse, I wanna ask, what the hell is this? I don't think they ever go here. My theory, which we'll see if it's true or not later, when Finn builds Nectar way later, they go to like a weird little garage area, which I thought would be like right here or back here or something, which it probably is, but it could be here with all this junk that they use. I don't know. I'm just trying to give that area some purpose, but I don't think this is anything. I think this is just an intro thing. But for the treehouse proper, we got a lot of iconic things like the boat lookout area with the umbrella, this thing which is never relevant, the eggs, the trophy room, or not trophy room, the gold room / entrance. But this is interesting to me because they have this walkway thing on the outside that I think they literally never use once in the entire show. I don't know if this is even part of the treehouse in the actual series. This might be another intro only thing. Because I don't recall them ever using any of these walkways, even a single time. But whatever. The well with some kind of skull on it. The only time I can remember them ever using the well is in the Cuties episode. I forget the name of the episode, but it was when those little cute guys try to attack them. I remember I think they coordinate it by the well, but yeah. And then the boat lookout, which I love. They're there pretty often. I remember there's one scene where Finn and Jake, I think the episode starts off with Finn and Jake, they're sleeping up here. There's another episode where BMO falls and lands on this thing. And prominently displayed in the episode where that slug dude bursts through the treehouse. I don't even know how he gets way up here, thinking about it now. He knocks the treehouse up and he used that as a shell. And then Finn and Jake chill up here for the whole episode. And then they have these eggs here, which I know that they have a chicken coop in either this room or this room. But I don't know why these eggs are out here. The chicken coop might be right here too, actually. But I think that's everything for the treehouse. They have these power lines that show up sometimes, not all the time. I can remember specifically in Holly Jolly Secrets, I think they show up. I could be wrong about that. But I think that's about all I can say about the outside of the treehouse. Oh yeah, when we get a little closer, we can see this bench here, which should be right in front of the pond, which we don't see in the intro. But there's a pond right about here where the water nymphs like to hang out. And then as we zoom in, the glass starts to fade, revealing the inside of Finn and Jake's room. And oh, look at that, this kind of fades too. But oh yeah, this does too, but not as heavily. If we zoom in, if we go through a little bit farther, it kind of cuts some of the room off. So I'll break down some stuff here. We have another crystal thing, possibly a mushroom right here, a toaster, a giant mace, a bunch of computers, which I really like that about the treehouse, is that there's a ton of just like little computers all over the place, kind of similar to BMO, but they're not sentient. Candle, Jaws, Finn's bed, which I really like because he has like all these blankets, if you want to even call them that. They're more like just animal pelts. And then his sleeping bag, this is the wrong color. His sleeping bag is usually like a red orange. And then Finn has this candle holder made out of like a car part, this little thing. And then Jake's bed right here, I'll come in a little more for that. It looks like they I understand why they just have Jake's bed as a drawer, because Jake can fit in anything. They got his viola up here, a watch, another computer, some nunchucks, some bones. He has some bones laid out above his bed, probably some midnight snacks. This book here kind of looks like the Enchiridion. I can come in a little closer on that. It looks a little bit like the Enchiridion, but colored wrong and maybe not as thick. But yeah, this circle in the middle reminds me a lot of the Enchiridion, and it kind of looks like there might be a sword in the middle there, but I could just be seeing things. Let me come out a little bit more. I'm going to point out a few things. They got this jukebox, well, I thought this was poison. It has a skull on it, but they also have a feather coming out of it, so it could be ink. I doubt it. But once we get in, nice. They also have a little bug here. And this is the last thing I'll point out in the background. This globe here is inaccurate to how we know Ooh to look. Maybe not at this point. I don't know if they came up with that later, but you know, if you like Adventure Time, one of the few things any like casual fan would know is that Ooh's planet, the planet of Ooh, which isn't a planet. I think Ooh is a continent, but the planet that Ooh is on has a big chunk taken out of it, probably insinuated to be from the mushroom war. But enough of that. You can tell the background was done separately from Finn, Jake, and BMO because none of them have any shadows, and their line work is a lot cleaner. And then we'll come in, and then they fist bump. And then I want you to keep an eye out for these impact lines, because they do a lot of that in this show, especially in the early episodes, and I'll point them out as I see them. So a few things here, not a lot. Finn and Jake have these little angel wings on them. Later in the series, not a whole lot later, it's pretty early, we learn that, or we see Finn and Jake go to like a little wizarding school, and one of the things that they learn is how to grow these wings. So intentional or not, it got some relevance. Also, I never noticed how beat up the Adventure Time words were, but they sure are, and a lot of these letters connect to each other. I never noticed. And the Adventure Time sword, super clean, very nice, especially in comparison to the letters. And if you were around when Distant Lands was being promoted, you might recognize this sword because the promos used it to show off old clips from the show, and the blade reflection, you kind of travel up it, and it's the same sword. Pretty cool. Also, the sword finishes off the E. Oh man, Adventure Time has some of the best sunsets on Cartoon Network. Back in the day, at least. They're probably higher quality stuff now. I haven't watched any of the newer Cartoon Network stuff in a while, except for Craig the Creek. Great show. You should definitely check that out. Great show. You should definitely check that out. But Adventure Time, their sunsets always stood out to me, and this is a really nice one. We get to see every episode. And then Jake gets my boy, and you can see Finn's face when he gets off. He was not happy about this. Look at that. And then we come through, and then I'm gonna let this play for a sec. Take a listen. Very distant land. I'll play it one more time. Very distant land. True fans or casual fans or anybody who's been on TikTok, or not even TikTok, because this is older than that. Anybody who's watched Top 10 Adventure Time Facts know that there's a bit of typing in the background, because I believe it was Pendleton Ward, creator of the show, while they were recording the intro, he was typing away at his computer, and it got picked up. And I could be remembering if it was him or someone else. I could be wrong, but I'm also pretty sure that I could also be wrong about that. They tried re-recording the scene without the typing, but it just never sounded right without it, so they left in the typing, and that's for the entire series, except for the special intros. Anytime it's just a classic intro, you hear the typing. And we see Finn and Jake going through the Ice Kingdom, and this shot of Finn and Jake, I remember there was at least one toy where it was Jake and he had these long legs, and Jake does this a lot. He does that a lot to get around, walking around with the long legs. I like how the stars look. Jake the dog. And look, there's those lines again. I won't point them out every time, but whenever I notice them, I will. And then from Finn again. And then here we are. I thought this was the intro sword for a second when I first tried this out for the test, but no, it's completely different. And then a little detail I always liked was that Finn got to the top and he's celebrating. Yes. And then Jake didn't really care. He was really only there for Finn, which I feel like a lot of the time, Jake's only doing stuff to keep Finn happy. Like, I don't think Jake would be heroing if it weren't for Finn. Also, I always liked that Finn was missing a ton of teeth. I thought that was a good character thing. And then they leave space and the clouds for the title card to come in. And it comes in with a big boom impact frame. And then this sparkle here, that was also used in the promo stuff for Distant Lands. I like those sparkles that come off. And now we get to start the episode proper. No more of this frame by frame stuff. I'm going to pause it again because immediately, I just love the Adventure Time, I don't know, title cards, whatever. Adventure Time, especially early Adventure Time, they had their title cards look real beat up and rough around the edges. It's really going for that apocalyptic kind of vibe. But we got Adventure Time with Finn and Jake presents Slumber Party Panic, which I think is a reference to Slumber Party Massacre. Also, I don't know how they got away with using straight up blood for this title card, but we got these ladies on the beat. Man, a lot of the title cards have nothing to do at all with the episodes, and this is first episode right at the gate. It's got freaking hot babes on the beach dancing. They don't even leave the Candy Kingdom, and these look like human women anyway. Cool little detail here is it says ooh publication 25 cents, so it's kind of like this is a magazine. Pretty cool. And these credits also always have the ripped up page style. I don't think they ever change that. Yeah, you think? All right right off the bat again. So first characters we see in the show proper outside of the intro is Lady Rainicorn and Jake. And also it looks like her horn is really big. So maybe I'm just misremembering how Lady's horn looked. But again, you can tell that they drew the background separate and then added Jake, Lady, and also these bubbles being blown by the Gumball Guardians, who aren't called Gumball Guardians this episode. I think they're called like the Royal Wish Keepers or something. Alright, so I just want to point out real quick, most people already know, but Jake the dog is voiced by John DiMaggio, who does a ton of voice acting. You might know him as a ton of different things. Lady Rainicorn here is voiced by Nikki Yang, and I believe she also voices BMO, but I could be wrong about that. And Lady also speaks exclusively in Korean, except for some very rare times where she does speak English, but overall it is Korean. Also, here's another very nice sunset from the show. And here's Jake showing off his powers as well as Lady. We can see that Jake can stretch and get big. We saw a little bit on the intro, but it went by pretty quick. But Jake makes a point in saying, like, you think you're up there, but I can get up there easy. And they're playing. It's showing first, like kind of showing off that they're together. I don't know. They may not even be together at this point because they do 7 minutes in heaven later. But I like to think that Jake and Lady have always been together.
Let me just add 3 more drops of explosive diarrhea.
Gross.
When we bring the dead back to life, will they be filled with worms?
No. If my
No. Alright, so we get our first look at Finn. I think PB has like a weed thing on here. But first appearance of Finn, he's a little kid. He's interested in weird stuff and he's super energetic, but we'll see that in just a second. Also, I really like how thick this glass is. And we first look at Princess Bubblegum here too. And Princess Bubblegum has always been very unique because she is a princess, but she's also a scientist. I think she would consider herself a scientist first, who is also a princess. And it's interesting that the first time we see her is she's doing science stuff, not princess stuff. And that's a cool way to differentiate her from other princesses in this show and from a million other places. So that's pretty cool. This is a funny frame of Finn. It's immediately showing off the like super noodly arm thing that they did a lot in the early seasons. They keep it throughout the show, but they really play with it in the early seasons. There are those lines again. And Finn is very, very energetic. We see that here. And loud. Very loud, especially early on.
Oh, Mr. Cream Puff?
we used to date.
Surprisingly, that comes back a couple of times. Most notably, way later in like season 9 or 10, when we learn how Mr. Cream Puff came to be. He's one of the few candy people that Princess Bubblegum did not create. Which is funny because one of the times that we see Mr. Cream Puff is when PB is like first building the Candy Kingdom and she's showing it off to Shoko, a past life of Finn. And she says,
All the candy people are like my children, except young Mr. Cream Puff. He's like my boyfriend.
Before I ever put together why PB would date one of the candy people, even though they're all her kids, is because she didn't make Mr. Cream Puff. He's not like a kid to her at all. Prince Gumball made Mr. Cream Puff, and that's why she never had an issue with thinking of him as a boyfriend. Except when he was first introduced. Then she was super against that, because that was forced onto her.
You got me a car?
Yes, a car, but also a boyfriend.
Wait, what?
Have fun on your date.
Date? I'm back from that terrible date.
But I guess she came around to him in the years after that. But yeah, Mr. Cream Puff, surprisingly, we learn a bit more about. But here, he's just old, dead Mr. Cream Puff.
It's happening! Come on!
The lighting right here looks really good. It reminds me of the episode of Simpsons where they had that, like, glowing green guy. I don't remember.
Algebraic!
So Mr. Cream Puff here is voiced by D. Bradley Baker. And if you're a heavy Ben 10 fan, you have certainly heard that name before. I didn't know that. I looked that up before this video, and I was really surprised by that. D does a ton of Ben 10 work. He does most of the aliens in the UAF era. Oh, also, while I'm paused on it, we see PB and Finn have the big, like, eyes. They did this a lot in this episode alone, but a lot in the early Adventure Time. They would do that to emphasize, like, oh my god, like, kind of thing. The characters would do that. Later on, they would just kind of widen the black dots, which admittedly doesn't super have that same emphasis as the big white eyes have, but I think it's nice that they stick to their style back, you know, when they start doing that. Take note of this because they do the big eyes a lot. Also, this vial was in the background earlier. You would think it's like one of those things that just pops in to exist, but if we go back, we can see it right here. That's pretty funny. Usually shows would just throw that in if they needed. Also, what the hell is this even needed for?
Hey, look! My decorpsinator serum's working! No, they're still dead! My decorpsinator serum, it's incomplete!
So, a couple of things. First of all, we have like a Valentine's heart guy. And I'm pretty sure this is like the only Valentine's candy person in the whole show. Kind of a throwaway kind of character. My theory is that PB tried to do like a, what's it called? Like a seasonal candy line of people, and she just didn't like them, so she trashed the idea, killing some of them. That's my reasoning for why there's only one candy person that looks like that. Also, I forgot to point out that the candy zombies, they remind me a lot of the oozers we see later, especially Mr. Cream Puff here. He looks a lot like an oozer. The mutated people of Oob right after the mushroom bomb. There's not a whole lot left, but the ones that are causing trouble later down the line. But yeah, also I like that when this candy person comes out of the hole, PB starts to pet it.
Decorpsinator serum, it's incomplete!
And the candy person even like closes their eyes, kind of loving that. Or not loving that, but like appreciating her petting them like that. Because as PB points out later, when trying to like coach Lemon Grab through like being a ruler of a candy people. She says that candy people need love, they need coochie coochie coo, that kind of thing. And it's pretty cool to see that even in death, the candy people do want love. It's ironic too because this guy's a heart, but they do enjoy affection and being loved. And you can see that even with its like mind kind of gone. But then it quickly snaps back to sugar.
Impersonator serum. It's incomplete!
It like thinks about it for a second.
They're going to be attracted to the Candy Kingdom. Why?
Look at this guy in the back. He like rolls out of the grave.
Dad, they're going to be
here.
attracted to the Candy Kingdom. Why? Because the candy people are made of sugar, you ding-dong.
So Finn should totally know that. He definitely like spent tons of time in the Candy Kingdom and is clearly friends with PB and knows all these candy people. But maybe this is still kind of early on in Finn's relationship with PB and the Candy Kingdom in general. So maybe he didn't know that the candy people were literally actually candy and made of sugar and all that. So just trying to write for the writers there.
Ah! Chew on this! Good one, Finn.
Not really.
Get a life!
That was a much better one-liner than the chew on this.
Citizens of...
So we get a better look at the Candy Kingdom here. So as they say, everything in the Candy Kingdom is candy. Also, this rainbow is just, I guess that's like part of the background because that's not how rainbows work otherwise. Or maybe it's a bunch of rainicorns just chilling. So we got the Gumball Guardians who aren't called Gumball Guardians. We got the Juice and Nettie's in here somewhere. And then the Liches up here. Gumball Guardians are gumball machines, obviously. They have these ice cream cone hats. There's a cherry here, like a maybe French toast. I don't know. PB really pushes it when it comes to what is and isn't candy. A more accurate name for the Candy Kingdom would be the Dessert Kingdom. And then they have these cotton candy forests. They look super slanted, like the wind's blowing all hard on them.
All citizens of the Candy Kingdom, report to the palace immediately!
So Cupcake Guy, or Mr. Cupcake, Chocoberry, the Gumdrop Girl is here again. Adventure Time is really good with reusing background characters, especially the Candy Citizens.
Whoa!
So PB calls back, she says specifically all citizens of the Candy Kingdom report to the palace, but Lady and Jake go also. Probably just because they know that Finn was with him and they should just go help out regardless. But as we'll see, Tree Trunks, she goes as well. She's also in the intro by the Candy Kingdom. So maybe early on, Tree Trunks was thought of as a candy person, but they changed it. Or maybe she was just chilling there. I don't know.
Hurry, sweet citizens.
Tree Trunks, get those hot buns in here, girl.
Oh, I hope it's not bad news.
So Tree Trunks here is voiced by Polly Lou Livingston, who is a real old lady in real life. So they really got the part on that one. And I forgot to mention, but Princess Bubblegum here is voiced by Hayden Walsh, which I might be pronouncing wrong, who also most notably, or equally as notably, voiced Starfire from Teen Titans, as well as Teen Titans Go, which once you hear it, you will never unhear it. So now you have to live with that. Also, on PB here, they have, I think they're called like intelligence parasites, but throughout the show, sometimes very smart characters like PB will have these little guys in their pockets. And this is never said in the show. I don't know where I heard this. This may not even be true, but it's, or like it's a theory, but they'll have these little things on them, on the smart people, because they like eat intelligence or whatever. Nothing important, but just something to look out for. I'll point them out if I see them. Oh, man, I totally forgot also.
Tree Trunks, get those hot buns in here, girl.
That's a joke that comes back later when they eventually reuse this plot for, like, no reason.
Tree Trunks, get those hot buns in here, girl.
But, yeah, they call back to this joke later.
Did we get everyone?
All present and accounted for.
Thanks, Manfred.
Manfred here is voiced by Maria Barntord. I can't read my own handwriting, but it's Maria something. I'll put her real name up on screen. She voiced Manfred here as well as Chocoberry, one of my favorite background candy people. But right here we can see some candy people. Oh, this guy was also on the Mystery Train as well as this guy. And this here, my theory has always been, oh, Mr. Cupcake's here too. My theory has always been that this is James who comes back later. We can get a front view of him in a second.
We
Finn
are
looks so
all
mad.
going to have a slumber party. What?
Oh, look at that. Let me come back. You can see the lines above Finn's head again for emphasis. This may or may not be an early design for James. I like to think it is. I like this lemon on him. And he's the only guy with these like big eyes here. Except for Lady and Jake. Jake's eyes always look like this. I don't know what's up with Lady's eyes. Also, we get our first look at Peppermint Butler here, who seems to not have any arms, which is weird. And this like candy rabbit guy. We don't see a lot of candy people like that. But yeah, look at Peppermint Butler. He totally does not have any arms. I'll go back. Watch Peppermint Butler. They did not give him arms.
We'll be right back, everyone. What do you mean, flip out? I mean, they would flip out. It's me, Starchy the Grave Digger.
Starchy is voiced by Jeff Kinney, who does a lot of voices for Adventure Time, most notably the Ice King. He also voices some yellow dude in a different show.
Well, I'll just wait for you here then, by the mausoleum, with my back turned and my defenses lowered.
Candy people explode when they get scared?
Sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes candy people explode when they get scared. Usually only when it's funny. As the series goes on, they explode less and less, but sometimes it happens.
Not telling the candy people about the zombies is so important that you need to promise, royal promise, not to let anyone find out
There's those wiggly arms again.
about the zombies, ever. Okay, sure. No, Finn, you have to royal promise. Yeah. Now I must cloister myself in the lab and finish the equation to my decorpsinator serum. Keep the candy folk distracted and ignorant.
Every time PB moved her arms, it did the sound effect. Also, trying to keeping them distracted and ignorant is a really funny way to put that.
Natalie's still Jake?
Tell me about what, dude?
The way Jake pops in, it makes it seem like he was listening the whole time.
All right, what's going on?
Look at this grimace dude's calves. Jesus Lord.
Nothing at all, buddy. Ha 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 ha.
Something you see a lot in early Adventure Time is gingerbread people, but again, another thing that you see less and less of. You like more like very unique shaped candy people is something you get a lot more of. Not these like kind of standard looks.
Hey, dude, I think you and Bubblegum are...
I like when they do the white eyes like this too. I think this works well a lot instead of with the pupils, which I think they're gonna do in a second.
Whoa, you guys are up.
Jake's arm is so thick right now. Most characters only have arms about that big, but his is really thick for some reason.
Is it some sort of prank? Can I get in on it?
I like when Jake wags his tail. You can see him do it right here. Oh, look at that. The line on Finn's hat got like layered over onto his hand.
Who wants to play Truth or Dare?
Mr. Cupcake.
Sus? Hold on, let me hear that again.
Mr. Cupcake. Sus or dare?
Sus or dare? Alright, who's she voiced by? Oh, okay, it's Maria, I messed up the last name again, who also voiced Manfred. And here's Mr. Cupcake, who I think is voiced by Jeff Kinney. Let me check. I didn't write down Mr. Cupcake's voice actor, but that's my bad. Mr. Cupcake. I do like Mr. Cupcake a lot. I'm sorry, Mr. Cupcake. I didn't write down your voice actor. This is his voice actor, though. I just forgot.
Greetings, my simian friend. It's time for you to do the right thing. Truth or dare? Do you prefer chocolate or fudge?
I tell you to take off your wrapper.
Hey, seriously,
Even Finn was pointing.
I'm up to. Is everything all right?
I like that face Finn was making.
And I'm your bro. Bros are supposed to tell bros everything all the time.
Also, the way Jake is talking, it makes it sound like they're just like buddies, like friends, but Jake and Finn are brothers, but he just says bro. And they do that a lot, or they do that again with like the homies thing later. I don't know how early it was planned that Finn and Jake were brothers, but you might not have got it from this episode.
Yep, fine. Everything is great. Except for that.
Except for that. I like that, how his voice changes.
Whoa, I didn't know he was chocolate.
I didn't know he was chocolate. So Peppermint Butler is voiced by Steve Little, who apparently has not gotten a grasp on how they want Peppermint Butler to sound, because he's doing like that old Butler kind of voice now, which if you know Peppermint Butler, he sounds nothing like that.
Remember, you still got 2 non-monster kids. You better toss all your charms down the hole.
But here they don't seem to have it, it's tightened out yet, but you get that a lot with early episodes of shows. You'll hear that very clearly with Cinnamon. You'll hear that very clearly with Cinnamon Bun. They had no idea how they wanted him to sound for like the first couple episodes you see him in.
Everyone watch! I'm gonna do a flip!
Let's go back and hear that again though.
Whoa, I didn't know he was chocolate.
I didn't know he was chocolate.
Jake, truth or dare? Do you prefer chocolate or fudge?
Okay, so Choco Berry has like a French accent, but what is his accent for Mr. Cupcake? Is it like British? Let me hear it again.
Truth.
Do you prefer chocolate or fudge?
I have no idea.
Probably...
Neither.
Finn, truth or dare?
Dare.
I dare you to tell me the truth about what's going on in your mind. What were you and Bubblegum talking about when you were alone together?
You can see these background characters move like they're going ooh, but none of them are facing them. Let me see that again. Yeah, they move like they're part of the convo, but they definitely aren't.
You promised you wouldn't freaking tell anyone! Oh, you're so cute, Finn.
It's funny, you can see Jake lean into that as well.
Oh, you're so cute, Finn.
Also, PB says, you wouldn't frickin' tell. You wouldn't freaking tell. They don't do that a lot. I think they do like fricks and frickins a couple times, but not often.
The truth is that
Like, here's those white eyes again. I really like that.
I'd rather play Dutch sauce.
Oh, Mr. Cream Puff, isn't he dead?
So the way Jake talks about Mr. Cream Puff, he says, old Mr. Cream Puff, isn't he dead? It sounds like Mr. Cream Puff might have died very recently, and Finn and Jake might have knew him. That's it. That's not a whole lot to say. That's just a little mini theory. Like he might have died a while ago, but not so long ago that Jake wasn't entirely sure. And it seems like they might have knew him a little bit, especially since Jake's able to pick up on a scent immediately like that.
Crazier than a cannonball tonight.
Look at this. The houses back here are kind of like messed up. Also, there's like this very thin white line along these, which makes me think that these were cut out from somewhere else and placed down for this background. But yeah, look, this candy house is kind of messed up already, and then this one is too. Maybe the zombies already got to it and they're walking past them coming towards us, or I don't know, maybe they just messed up on that, or maybe this is just like the candy ghetto or something.
Princess hasn't finished the equation, and the zombies are here. I just want this little party to be super fun. You know what time it is?
Adventure time?
No, time for 7 minutes in heaven. You're first.
Really?
Lady Raycorn in the closet with Jake.
Oh, look at that. They did it again. Also, that's the first time they say Adventure Time on the show. And it's super anticlimactic. They say it almost like it's already a running joke. The Adventure Time fist bump thing. So it makes me think that maybe this episode was done later, but they made it the first episode. They're kind of relying on the fact that the running joke of, you know, the catchphrase. But it works as just, it's the title of the show and we said it. But, you know, whatever. I rewound because I wanted to point this out.
Lady Raycorn in...
Did they say rain corn?
Lady Raycorn.
It sounds like rain corn.
Lady Raycorn.
He says Lady Raincorn. That's weird. Look at that. She has the lines. And this is like the way I like when they do it. When it's just to show like a character being surprised, they use that. It's probably just cheaper than drawing them surprised too, because I don't think Lady's expression changes at all.
Lady Raycorn in the closet with...
Yeah, her expression doesn't change. Also, when they do the slumber party thing again later, they don't say 7 minutes in heaven. They say you have to go into the closet and have heavenly thoughts, which might be either it's just funnier, which I think it is funnier, or they got like in trouble with this about 7 minutes in heaven, which if you don't know, it's what you do in like high school or whatever. You pick out two people, send them in the closet for 7 minutes in heaven, and you make out for 7 minutes. And so maybe like the higher ups didn't like that, so they made them change it. And so the way they got around that was just kind of playing off the same thing, but calling it heavenly thoughts. I don't know. So you can hear her speaking like very audible Korean here. It was kind of quiet earlier. These two guys are facing the wrong way.
Okay, all right.
Okay, all right. So little mini theory here is that Finn looks funny. That's not the theory. Is that Lady and Jake weren't dating at the time, and this might have been the catalyst for them dating. That might be true. They might not have been dating at this point. This might have been the very start of their relationship, which could be interesting.
I can't hear you all the way in heaven.
Also, they like specifically mention like heaven as like a very direct place, which is probably like a remnant of like the pre-Mushroom War stuff, because we know that most people in OO don't believe in like Christianity or Catholicism or anything like that. They believe in the dead worlds, which turns out to be the correct one. So it might have just been like 7 minutes in heaven might have just been something like one of like the last remnants of, you know, the pre-Mushroom War stuff, and so they don't even know what heaven really is. Maybe, I don't know, might have just been a funny line. That's another one of my favorite candy people is Chet. Most candy people have names relating to what kind of candy they are, but Chet is just Chet. I don't even know what candy he's supposed to be. This might be chocolate, Maybe, I don't know.
Hear what? I don't hear anything.
You get to look at a lot of candy. Oh, look, there's a snail. Snail. Write that down. Write that down. But yeah, you get to look at a lot of the candy people here. Well, actually, a couple. Oh, look at Peppermint Butler. His clothes are kind of washed out. They're usually a darker blue than that. I like this guy. He has the same pupils that this guy had earlier. That's interesting. This guy, he gets kind of phased out later on. This guy, I love seeing this guy. He's cool. There's another candy cane guy back there, but his face isn't on the end like this guy's is. But yeah, there's a snail. If you don't know, the snail's in every episode, so I'll try to keep a lookout for that. And if I miss it, point it out for me.
I hear something I don't understand, and it makes me scared.
What?
I love that line.
You mean this noise?
Oh, this guy, look, Chet here, he gets a lot of lines. I really like that. I'm gonna let that play out. Hey.
That's it.
Super noodly arms again here, and legs.
Bust it up.
Busted up. Oh my god, look at fucking Cinnamon Bun. Jesus Christ, he is terrifying. Early Cinnamon Bun is scary. They gave him these green eyes and shit. Oh my god, he's freaky. And his voice doesn't help either. And we get another look at the weird James thing. This freaking, they put this guy in every scene. This Grimace dude, I don't know what's up with that. He's in every scene.
The game of barricades.
I don't know what I just did. Sorry. But Finn is just banging on this. There's no nails or anything.
Come on, let's block all the
His legs are so long right here. Oh my god, look at Root Beer guy. He's fucking huge. Also, Starchy should be dead. Yeah, Root Beer guy is massive right here. Even compared to how he looked earlier, and especially to how he looks later. Wow, he is huge. He's bigger than Mr. Cupcake. Good lord. And yeah, Starchy shouldn't be here. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look, he's back to being like way smaller now. He could just be further back so it looks smaller. But yeah, he's way smaller here. That's funny.
Find out about what, Finn?
Manfred.
I love Manfred. I don't know why. One of my favorite like recurring candy people.
The talking pinata.
Who is a talking pinata?
New game. We're gonna smash some pinatas. Now, everybody
What is this guy? Maybe Finn says it.
don these blindfolds.
Okay, no, he doesn't. What is this guy supposed to be? He may not be a candy citizen, but I don't know. I guess he is. This guy, I think he comes back a few times. I could be completely wrong. He might be like Taffy, but I don't know. It doesn't seem sticky at all or anything. They just rip it right off this dude's skin.
Thanks, Taffy girl.
Oh, it is Taffy. He says Taffy girl. Wow, look at this guy. What? What is this? Oh my god, that guy's brain fell out. I think it's this guy gets his brain knocked out. Keep an eye out. Yeah, look, this lollipop dude gets his brain knocked out. Watch. He knocks him back, and then he falls, and then his brain plops out, and then Chet kills this guy.
Yeah.
What was that? Like a candy duck? It had like a bill. Yeah, it's got like an Oreo mouth. That's pretty cool.
Oh, you can slip this in.
Are pinatas usually candy in the Candy Kingdom? This looks like an off-colored Chet right here. That might be Chet that they messed up on. I was gonna say that's like cannibalism, but the candy people only eat candy anyway. It's nothing different to them.
My improbable plan worked.
Also, if anyone's thinking like, how did that work, dude? Like, obviously they would know that what they're hitting isn't actually like a pinata, or that Finn didn't put up the pinatas that fast. Candy people are dumb. That is one of their core traits. Peppermint Butler isn't dumb though. He might have just been fine with killing. He's big on the dark art stuff.
7 minutes.
Ongyong, I know what that means. That means hello, and I learned that from Arrested Development. So.
Besides, I'm going to Anyang's soccer award ceremony.
Oh no.
Lady just said hello there.
It's up yet?
Not hello there. She said hello, and then I said there.
We kill all the zombies and Prince Bubblegum and I raise from the dead.
Really?
Did you break your royal promise? Guardians of the Royal Promise are coming for us.
The Guardians of the Royal Promise. They called the Gumball Guardians. Now, I wanted to say that was a retcon, that they changed the name of the Gumball Guardians later. But it might just be an abbreviation. They are the Guardians of the Royal Promise, so they're Guardians. And they're also Gumball, so it might just be a shortening thing. They love to shorten names. PB, P-Bubs, Pep Butts, that kind of thing. So maybe not. But it's probably just a retcon. It probably just coincidentally was that.
You have broken a royal promise.
Now, one of these Gumball Guardians are voiced by Jeff Kinney, and the other is voiced by Steve Little. I think this is Jeff Kinney, but I'll have to hear the other one. Also, this is one of the only times that the Gumball Guardians are ever threatening. We learn later that PB created them to be guardians of the Candy Kingdom and to like fight off evil threats. They have evil detectors. And pretty much every single time the Gumball Guardians have to do their job, they get killed or just defeated or just cannot complete the job. It's kind of like a running joke. But here's one of the very few times that they don't. One of the very few times that they're actually super overpowered. They can they stop time to do this. It's really interesting. And they also rewind time as well. It's interesting.
The penalty is trial by fire.
Isn't there another option?
We will give him a less hot trial. You must now answer math questions.
I think that was Steve Little. Yeah, so I think the first Gumball Guardian is Tom Kenny, the second one Steve.
You're terrible at math.
No.
So Finn being really bad at math is funny, and it's double funny because a lot of his early catchphrases are math-based, like algebraic and mathematical and stuff like that, which I didn't pick up on as a kid, but I think that might have been the intended joke.
Solve this. Oh, wait, I thought of a better one. 2 + 2.
Solve it or die.
That is definitely Jeff Kinney. You can totally hear it with that.
4, right?
He's so bad at math. He's like, shit, is it 4? Like, it's pretty cool. You can see the hologram through the Gumball Guardian's head.
Correct.
What's happening, princess?
You know, I said earlier that the Gumball Guardians suck, and this is like the only time they're actually cool, but Finn actually defeats them super easily, and their heads blow up too. So I guess even in their first appearance, they weren't that cool. It was mainly just the time stopping.
The Gumball Guardians are resetting!
Slam
a cow. Classic. I never really understood why they reset hours and hours back to before the promise was even made, but I don't know. Maybe it was the contents of the promise because Princess Bubblegum didn't make the Corpsenator serum, thus couldn't make the things and then make the promise. But I don't know, you could go back and back and back. If Princess Bubblegum was never born, then she wouldn't be able to make the Candy Kingdom and let the candy people die and then make the syrup and then make the thing. But I don't know, it's just funny.
That was tops.
Finn says that was tops. I believe that is like shorthand for a slang that doesn't exist in real life and hasn't been said in the show yet. I think it's short for that was tops Blueby.
Check this out, man. This bear is tops Blueby. This guy's tops Blueby.
Troops, Blueby. Troops, Blueby. Troops.
But he just says tops. That's pretty funny. Another reason that this episode may not have been the first episode that they made.
I was all
4. That's it! The answer.
That was funny. She made bubbles when she got surprised, or she had that realization, which she like never does.
4. The answer was so simple, I was too smart to see it.
Whatever.
You're welcome.
Need to perfect my decor.
Oh, look at this. It's like one of those skeletons, but it's a Gumball Guardian. It's interesting. Okay, why is this guy here? Wait, if he's drawn really well, actually. But why is this guy here if everything got reset? Oh, that's weird.
Golly!
I think that's Jeff Kinney. They're all there. Okay.
Oh, yeah!
Oh, look, there's Mr. Cream Puff. He's back. He's not old either. Oh, I thought this was Colonel Candy Corn for a second, but no, this is their grandma. That's cool.
Starchy!
Oh, Tug Me. That's funny. Earlier, it was cracked where it just said Ugg Me, and you assume it's Hug Me. It was actually Tug Me. That might be a sexual joke. One for the parents.
Man, you broke a royal...
Oh, did you guys hear that? When Jake was stretching, it was making a weird sound. Listen to that.
Man, you broke a royal...
I heard that. I was like, woo, woo, which is weird, because Jake stretching has a very specific sound. It sounds like rubbing on a balloon. So, I don't know. Maybe I just meant for fun. It's not really an error.
Royal secret? I know what's up.
Oh, I did it again. Well.
If I break a royal promise, I get to fight zombies, throw slumber parties, awake Gumball Guardians, and reverse death itself.
I'm pretty sure only one of the things Finn said pertained to the actual royal promise thing. Everything else was just what PB was doing. The only thing that, if you break a royal promise, the only thing that'll happen is that you'll wake the Gumball Guardian. All the other stuff was just gonna happen.
And reverse death itself.
The Gumball Guardians, no, they didn't do that. They did not do that, because he's talking about bringing back the zombies. That was just PB. They did reset nothing. They just made it daytime. Everybody else was already where they were, and the zombies were still there. So I don't know what the hell the Gumball Guardians did.
Horrible.
They're just tweaking.
I can't help it. Flesh is delicious. Don't squeeze me apart.
Squeeze the hell out of him. So one last thing is that a lot of Adventure Time episodes, especially early on, I don't know how many times I've said that so far, is they'll end on a joke. They do that a lot. Take it or leave it. They're usually pretty funny in my opinion. But yeah, that was the first episode. I'll do talking about it a separate thing because I've been recording for an hour and 18 minutes and I'm done. Alright, so season 1, episode 1, Slumber Party Panic. Was it any good? I'd say so. Was it a good pilot? That's where I've heard people differ in opinion. I've heard some people say that it feels like it was made later and then made to be the first episode, which is something I said in my breakdown of it. And it's something that I get, but I don't think it was really made later and then made the first episode. My theory is that they were just very competent in their writing, assuming that you'd understand that they're not holding your hand, walking you through who's who, what they do, their personality. They're just showing it off the bat and then letting you fill in the blanks on that. Adventure Time is really big about filling in those blanks, especially early on when they don't tell you anything about why the world is so weird, why characters act some ways and they talk certain ways, and creatures that shouldn't exist in the real world exist here, and there's other like dimensions and stuff that we're gonna see in the next episode, like lumpy space. And as it gets weirder, it also seems to become a bit more grounded throughout the series. But in this first episode, they're just letting you know this is a weird world with candy people and zombies, flying Rambos, stretching dogs, and this one human boy. What's up with that? I think it does a great job setting the standard and leaving questions that are going to be soon answered. I don't know if they always originally planned on having those questions answered, but they do pay off later. So whether they were going to answer them or not, we get them anyway, and this is a good foundation for the show to come. It eases you into the weirdness of Ooh, with the plot you're kind of familiar with. You've seen a million times the zombie takeover. So while it's a weird world, it's a familiar concept, and I think that makes it a pretty good first episode. And that's about all I've got to say for Slumber Party Panic. I'm looking forward to doing this series, and of course, like I said, I want to do the whole series, and like I forgot to mention in the intro, I'm going to do all of Adventure Time, and then Distant Lands, and then Fiona and Cake. I forgot about Distant Lands when I was writing that intro. That's my bad. But you guys know I'm not one for long outros, so I haven't really got a whole lot else to say. So, later!